will be a very special video because it's my first ever talking video in my new uni dorm room. Yes, I know, and I really love my room. I am officially a design student in London. In the first 2 weeks of my design course, we had a series of workshops called technical studies. In each day of the week, we will be trying out and making new stuff using different materials. On Monday, I would have wood, and the next day I'll have metal, and then the other day I'll have textiles. I am really proud of what I made for the past 2 weeks, so this video will be basically a visual diary of what I did. Without further ado, let's start introducing my design. The script of my video is actually going to be from my sketchbook because I made kind of notes on each subject and what I enjoyed. On day one, we had metal, and honestly, seeing metal as my first workshop, I was very intimidated, but it ended up being very fun and eventful for the first day. The object I had made and designed is this metal structure. I have used copper wire and various shaping tools to create one of my original drawings. My original drawing was named City of Lotus because that's the name of my hometown, and basically this continuous line drawing was of a lotus leaf connected to its roots, and I really had a lot of fun with it, and it was honestly it was quite easy to make since we had so many equipments in the workshop and studios, so it ended up being really fun actually. Shaping the metal wire was definitely a lot of hardcore labor. I think that seems to be the basic ingredients in these series of workshops, but basically I had shaped the metal wires and then spray painted them black, so it ended up looking very, very cool. My first child at Goldsmiths. On day two, we had a image workshop, which is in slightly simpler meaning just photography. For this workshop, since it's photography, I felt like I had some basic knowledge because I think in this world nowadays, everyone kind of knows how to use a camera and take photos, but I didn't know like we could use so much settings in the camera to create different images. For this workshop, it was taken place mostly outdoors, and sadly the weather on that day wasn't that great, so I did not end up enjoying it as much as I wanted to. Nevertheless, we definitely had a lot of cool shots inside our studio, so that was very fun. One of my favorite is this image, which was created by setting your camera to either fast or low shutter speed. So that ended up being, it was quite a mixed emotion, but I ended up enjoying that as well. On the third day, we had digital computing. On the third day, we had physical computing, which sounded very intimidating and definitely ended up also being kind of intimidating. In this workshop, we played around with breadboards, I think that's what they were called, and very simple small discs, and this course also introduced me to coding, and we all ended up creating some neon signs or RGB light signs. We could design whatever design we wanted to, and I ended up making a heart with an arrow in it, and as well as a S for my name, Stella, of course. Honestly, a lot of students made very cool movements and very cool objects like fireplace and flames, but I think on this day I was just really tired and I kind of got lazy, which is really bad, but in the end I still fulfilled my goal to produce or create a finishing product for each day, so I'm still pretty proud of myself. I did not give up halfway. On the fourth day, we had what was called a plastic workshop, but in this workshop it was very intense as we learned how to make vacuum molds as well as mixing Jessamite and sculpture. It was very intense. We started off with creating molds using clay, and then we ended up mixing Jessamite mixtures and pouring that to the actual mold, and then sticking everything together, which was so difficult. It's a very mentally and physically exhausting workshop. On this day, I sadly ended up not finishing a final product, which I'm quite sad about. But what I really enjoyed about this workshop was that it was inspired by one of my favorite design groups, the Memphis group. And what I had designed was basically this little structure, but yeah, would not really have time to finish it. If you gave me a week instead of a day, I would definitely like it more, but overall, I still really enjoyed it, although I find it kind of complex. On day 5, we had graphics, which I was very looking forward to because one of my interests before this course was also graphic design. Our teacher also showed us some of interesting designs and collections that she personally collected, which I found very inspiring because I think all the magazines and those physical examples were very pretty. Basically, for this workshop, we had to create our own graphic design of a manifesto. I still think graphic design is one of my interests, but at the same time, I didn't find it as interesting as other workshops just because I had some knowledge about it before. So I found the beginning of the workshop to be kind of dry, but towards the end it got quite fun. In the end, we're supposed to choose some electives, and I think I'll still choose graphic design, and hopefully until then I'll be able to explore more of this area. For day 6, we had a wood workshop in which we had to make our own spoon. In this studio, we had a lot of equipment such as sandpaper machines, drills, saws. With the help of these machines, making a spoon was actually easier than I expected. My initial idea was that I'm going to make the cutest little fat spoon in the world. So with that in mind, I started with drawing the top of my spoon and then slowly carving out the inside using a kind of carving tool. This is how my spoon looked like, and I brought it home and I was curious on what I could use it for, and I ended up finding a perfect use for it, which was a spoon for my body scrub. It's the perfect size because it takes out the perfect amount I need. So I guess, yeah, I found it a new home and I'm quite happy with the final product. We had to also make another toy, but no one really focused on the toy. Everyone was too busy making their spoon, which was supposed to be a side project thing, but I guess everyone was just loving making spoons. For the 7th day, we had a workshop called Words. Basically, for this workshop, we had a lot of newspapers in which we cut out random words and make a narrative out of it. It's kind of a new thing that a new workshop that my school has introduced. I just started using words to explore my cultural identity. On my first page of my little leaflet, I have used words to make the sentence, which was, "Where are you from?" because that's a key question in my life that I always find it hard to answer. I kind of started it but didn't finish it because we didn't have enough time, and I just could not find some words that I personally found it useful. That was kind of a shame. For the 8th day, we had a workshop called Digital Fabrication. For this workshop, I was also intimidated because I've heard a lot of bad reviews about it, so I was kind of nervous about it, but I ended up really liking it. Our topic was to make a box using laser cutting, and I was really proud of my design on the actual box because it's kind of inspired by this artist that I really like on Instagram. I think her artworks also remind me a little bit of Memphis, but without the bold colors. And I ended up with this box that I made. I'm actually so proud of it. that, and I was the last one in this workshop. Like, I stayed until the end just because I really wanted to finish the product, and overall I am really happy about it. I also cut out some of the details on this box because while I was making the box, I kind of want to make it into a kind of lampshade as well. That's why when I got home, I immediately put in my fairy lights and it ended up looking amazing. Now it's kind of working as my night lamp, which I have on every night because it just makes my room feel extra cozy, I guess. Yeah, and I love how I can use my own designs to spice up my room since it's quite bare, as you guys can tell. So overall, that experience was actually really fun, and I think I might choose it as an elective. I'm not sure yet. On the 9th day and also the final day, my long-awaited textile workshop is finally here. Before this whole entire thing, I was so pumped about textiles, and then I looked in the timetable and I realized that was my last workshop. But you know what? You gotta save the best for the last. On this day, we started off with learning how to use a sewing machine. It was my first time on a sewing machine, believe it or not, and I found it very difficult at first because the settings for different stitches were kind of complex, and even according to my friend who had experience using a sewing machine, she said like the sewing machine we had in our school was quite complex. So I really had a lot of trouble figuring out my sewing machine, especially putting in threads and different string. It was very difficult for me, and I started doubting if textiles was something I really wanted to pursue. But after getting the hang of it, getting over the dry part, we started making and experimenting with different stitches. But for this workshop, I actually created a series of different objects compared to just one object because it was actually really fast. For the first thing that we did, we had to make a kind of oval circular shape, which ended up so not happening. And it's this little ball. We basically had to create a kind of circular shape with different stitches and then fill them up with some cotton to kind of make it as a random plushie. Our teacher made it into an onion, some people made it into a crocodile. Me and my friend chose the simple minimal route and just put a very, very small emotionless poker face on it. And it's our series of mishappen objects. It's so random, but I honestly love it because it's such a mood. For the next object that I made was actually two kind of cloth tapestry wall decoration kind of things. My friend asked me what I wanted to make, and I honestly did not have an idea, but I kind of wanted to make a wall tapestry thing. I also used stitches to make a frame. As you can tell, my favorite color is definitely blue. So I thought that was really cute, and the cloud was originally my friend's, but she actually gave it to me because she didn't want it for some reason. I found it really cute, so I just brought them home, and now they're a decoration on my desk, cordboard little thing. After the two cloth tapestry thing, I also made a scrunchie. Since I had the sewing machine, I was like, why not? And it was actually really easy to make. Overall, although the textile workshop started off with a bumpy start, after I got the hang of the sewing machine, I started really liking the workshop and really liking textiles, and I'm definitely looking forward to the future where I can explore more in my textile studio. Overall, this series of workshops and the entire technical studies was such a fun experience. I am so glad that our course was able to provide us such a broad range of different materials, and I'm definitely excited to be focusing and exploring more of what I enjoyed. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Until next time, love from Stella.